Hello and welcome to Something Big, a podcast coming to you from Pakenham, about Pakenham and the issues that we face here in the southeast. My name's David Farrelly and I'm joined here with Stacey. Stacey, welcome to Something Big.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. This is something exciting, isn't it?
It is. Something big even.
Something big even, that's right. We're going to be bringing local issues to our community and local events, and we'll have some guest stars as well so that we can get some different perspectives, and the good people of Pakenham and the southeast can watch us and find out what's going on here in the local community.
Lovely. Get excited.
It is exciting, isn't it? Yeah. This week we've got our very first special guest, and she's a local of the southeast. In fact, her office is here in Pakenham, and Renee Heath MP is our first guest, and was excited to sit down with her and do a great little interview. Wasn't little actually, because we'll be actually doing that over 2 episodes. So over the next 2 episodes, in fact, this is our first episode. And our second episode will be sitting down with Dr. Renee Heath, and you can find out exactly what her journey was through to politics, in her life before politics, indeed as a chiropractor, and what drove her to jump into politics and the challenges that she's faced as well. So that was a really exciting sit down, and it's nice to be able to have someone local to come in and talk to Stacey, and someone representing our community here in Pakenham as a member of Parliament.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 episodes. A lot of information coming.
It was a great interview. And look, we sat down and had a great chat. So I'm really excited to bring that to everyone. We've got a couple of events coming up here locally as well, which is something that we want the community to engage with. We want to make sure that the community comes in and sees exactly what's going on in their local community with community events, often run by volunteers. Indeed, there's markets and there's local residents groups that do events as well. So some of the events that are coming up here in the next week or so. Stacey, I think you've got some written down there.
I've got a cheeky little list here that we can go through.
There's so many that we've got to write them down.
There is. I won't remember them all otherwise. So the first one is Adoption Day down at Big-Pakenham.
Yeah.
Nice and local for everyone, friendly. So if anyone's looking at, getting a pet, pop on down. If not, just pop in just to say hello, show some support. Another one we have, not local, but the Melbourne show is coming.
Oh, so good.
Oh, every year. I'm so excited to go. I go I actually missed last year, but I go nearly every year. It's one of those things that just good to check off. But that one's coming 25th of September till the 5th of October.
So I think during school holidays probably.
I wouldn't actually know. I'd be lying if I said I knew.
It usually is during school holidays, yeah.
Not quite local, but yeah, absolutely beautiful to get down. It's got the rides, the live music, show bags, which is really what everyone goes there for, absolutely. And then lastly, we've got the Melbourne Caravan and Camping Leisure Fest, which personally don't know too much about, but do you know much about?
Yeah, it used to be, it's at Sandown now, so it's not too far away. It used to be held at the Caulfield Racecourse, actually, for a long time. I used to go all the time because my background's architecture, and one of the great things about caravans is, especially I think in Australia, is they're very innovative and they come up with new ideas, space-saving ideas, tricky ways to fold things down and fold things away. And I always found it really interesting to go and check out what those new ideas were and how we could probably incorporate that into a new house.
Yeah, well, it's quite literally a house on wheels these days.
They are.
There's some of the, sorry to cut you off there, but some of the ones that they have these days, I reckon they're like mini houses. They've got triple bunk beds in there, washing machines, showers. They've got everything you need, obviously for the people that go off-grid 12 months at a time, 6 months at a time, whatever it may be. But, yeah, house on wheels, absolutely.
My parents have a fairly sizable caravan that they're currently in at the moment.
Travelling,
yeah.
Way to rub it in.
They're up in the Northern Territory, and They love it. They love it. It's something that they can use off grid as well, so they don't need to be at a caravan park. They can stop on the side of the road if they want to, and just they've done so much travelling in it, and they just love the experience of setting up somewhere new. Every couple of days and having a look around and
it's
exploring.
definitely a lifestyle for sure.
Yeah.
My husband and I recently purchased a caravan. It's an old retro caravan, so it's nothing like these Fandangle ones that we'll see, but it's got character, and that's what we love. And we go off grid with it, and it has the bare minimum of what we need. So I couldn't actually imagine having one of these Fandangle ones. One day we'll pop it on the goal list. That's what. Well, maybe we'll do our next podcast from one of those.
Yeah, a bucket list.
A bucket list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of our viewers might have some pretty cool setups. I know a couple of locals that do a bit of journeying around as well. So maybe they can send in some photos for us, and we can check out what they've done.
Well, if you're watching, let us know where we can go camp.
Yeah.
Give us the little tricky and hard spots to get to, the hard ones to find.
Yeah, the exciting ones as
Yeah.
well. I went to the Tiny House Expo, which is similar to a caravan, I guess, in a lot of ways, but tiny houses are supposed to be set up in a backyard, somewhere to live. A lot of people used to call them granny flats, but they're not really granny flats anymore. They're a real house, but they're just small. And that was really interesting, very similar to a caravan in a lot of ways. And this was actually over in Geelong. And the amount of new ideas coming through for these tiny home manufacturers, all locally manufactured as well. These were, which was great to see, is brilliant. It's a different way for people to live. The first place that I lived was when I moved out of my parents' place was an apartment, which is small, and the whole idea about getting a small place rather than an apartment that you can put in a suburban background or backyard is a great way to be able to change your lifestyle, reduce your footprint essentially.
But I think they are becoming so popular now that the price tags, they're just in some ways unjustifiable because they're so expensive.
Yeah, they can be very expensive.
You may as well go buy a little unit.
Yeah, you can, exactly. So, Stacey, we're here doing a podcast.
Yes.
You've got a background. I've got a background. Shall we tell the good people of Pakenham a little bit about ourselves? So
Absolutely.
they know why we're doing this and what we bring to the
table.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first?
Oh, girls first.
Ladies first. Well, I am a local real estate agent in Pakenham. So I've been in the industry for, probably 12 years now. I started as a receptionist in a little family-ran real estate. They're still going, which is lovely. But I started as a receptionist, moved up into a property manager, and then a senior property manager, and then sales, and then I moved out and became a director down here at Area Specialist in Pakenham. I've definitely gone through, I'll say, the ranks, gone through it all, and it's been exciting. It's one of those things where I think that it is such a rewarding career when you're in it with the right people. When you're doing it for the right reasons, I think that real estate's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I rave it every day of the week.
That's so good to love what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, makes such a difference. As cliche as it sounds, and people say it all the time, love what you do and you don't work a day in your life, it's actually true.
Yeah.
Because if you are enjoying what you're doing, you don't really feel like it's work. And the amount of people that I've sold houses for and or even sold houses to and have now become friends, it's actually bizarre. Some of them are really good friends of mine just from them having brought a property through me. And then obviously it's repeat business down the track as well. But repeat business aside, you just get to know everyone's life and what they're doing, where they're going, why they're doing it. And it is inspiring in some aspects as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't work a day in your life if you love what you're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I do, but yes.
Still work.
And what about yourself?
I came to Pakenham back in, I think it was 2008. So I'd lived in Caulfield before that. And I came here for cheap housing.
Put it on the table, just
Put it on
say
the
it.
table, you'll know that. Came here for cheap housing, and this was as Lakeside was starting to grow. That's where I moved initially, and I just fell in love with Pakenham. I'd always been familiar with the area, and it was a place that I hadn't spent too much time in previous, but always loved coming here. It was such a rural area back then as well. It was
I'm
a
sure
country
you
town
would have
vibe, yeah.
Seen the kangaroos bouncing around. We
Very
hear
much,
that
very much.
often.
Well, when we moved in, I could still see those kangaroos bouncing around through the bedroom window. So they were still there. They're not there now.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think they're there. There actually are certain parts of Pakenham that you can still see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not as many.
Not as many, no.
Definitely not in Lakeside.
No. But my career has primarily been in designing homes. So I've worked for a few different companies and done different types of projects, as well as some government projects as well, exciting stuff. But my passion is designing homes for people, being able to fulfill their dream, essentially, their dream of a beautiful home that suits their lifestyle and often changes their lifestyle to be better as well. I love that. And I've done that for over 25 years. And I also started to do some side work in crime prevention, which brought me to some volunteer roles and some professional input as well. The great thing about doing crime prevention work is actually working with the community in particular. So I love working with the community, and then I found a lot of different community groups that sort of had a good synergy with my theories around crime prevention, and I started to work in some of those things like residents groups and getting communities fire ready, working in conjunction with other groups in particular. So I do a lot of community work locally, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It's hard work a lot of the time, but
That's the best kind of work.
I just think that you see it pay off. The community really does get behind these organisations, and one of the more recent big projects that I've worked on is indeed the Pakenham Show, the Pakenham Agricultural and Horticultural Show. And it's the longest running community show group in Pakenham. It's been going for a very long time. And being able to produce, a community event that thousands of people come to and love and share great times with. I love that. It's given me a great sense
Rewarding.
of worth. It really is rewarding. Yeah. So that's been my focus more recently, and I look forward to the next Pakenham Show.
When
which
is
will
the
be
next one?
bigger and better. So we have to wait, unfortunately, till next year. So
Sneaky little plug for a year in advance.
and we may well have a representative of that organisation come and do a guest spot with us as well.
Keep your eyes peeled, everyone.
Keep your eyes peeled, exactly. So why are we sitting here doing a podcast, I guess, Stacey?
You tell me.
Oh, look, I just really love the idea of bringing things to the community and engaging with the community on the things that matter to them in particular. And I look forward to the feedback that we're going to get from the podcast in particular. I want people to comment and share and like and subscribe as well.
Learning the lingo.
Yeah, and that way, we can get genuine feedback and find out exactly what it is that our community's thinking and what they want to achieve and what they hope for and what they like and what they don't like. And maybe if they're raising something that they're really passionate about, we might be able to get someone on specifically to talk about that issue and maybe highlight exactly the problems that we're facing. So,
But even showing people what's happening in the background that they may not see every day or may not even know about that's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's like a cheeky little snippet so that they can get a little bit of an insight that they can then do more research on if they want to, or they can come back to the next podcast and hopefully get some more answers.
Well, I mean, that's right. There's a lot of things that happen locally that I think people aren't aware of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get that, it's a long way for a lot of people to go to work if you work in the city, for example. You jump on the train and you're on the train for over an hour there and over an hour back, and you're spending a lot of time away from your family. So it's train, work, train, eat, sleep, basically. There's not a lot of time for anything else. So hopefully we can bring some information to our community whilst they're on the train. They can watch it on their phone.
It could be in your ears.
Be in the ears. And, there's local issues that are occurring all the time that people just aren't aware of. One of those, well, two of those things actually at the moment. Cardinia Shire has just appointed a new CEO of the council. So that's something which will change the way the council works and the issues that they focus on, no doubt. And there's also at the moment a community feedback opportunity for people to talk about the Pakenham Golf Club or course. The course has been closed for a long time now, and now there's a conversation around whether or not it needs to stay as a golf course. Personally, I think it must stay as a golf course, but
why?
Council's asking that question.
Why must it stay?
It's something that's lacking in Pakenham. We need as many different sporting opportunities as possible, and whilst I don't play golf anymore, I used to, and it's a great communal sport that people play with friends.
I think every man's wife would say something very different. So, because if you ask me, I've got a different comment.
I have plenty of friends that are female that play golf as well. So
there's very few out there.
But you can't do it at the moment anyway. So and Pakenham's had a golf course for forever and a day, and just closed down because of poor maintenance, unfortunately. We need it back, and council's asking the community for feedback on that.
Perfect example of something that people may not know about.
Yeah, and hopefully we can continue to deliver that type of information, something a little bit interesting, something big from time to time, for people to understand the community that they live in a little bit more. Stacey, it's time now, I think, for our special guest interview, and Dr. Renee Heath MP is our first guest for something big, and it was really exciting to sit down with her. This will be a two-part interview, so this is our first episode, and our second episode will be part 2 with Dr. Renee Heath. Really
How exciting.
Really exciting, isn't it?
It is.
So let's cut to that interview now. Today on Something Big, we're joined by a person whose journey from health professional to Parliament House is nothing short of inspiring. Dr. Renee Heath dedicated her life to serving others. First, through her work as a chiropractor, caring for people across Gippsland, and later through community projects that improved children's health, supported bushfire recovery, and gave a voice to those in need. In 2022, she took that passion for service to the Victorian Parliament, where she now represents her community as a member of the Legislative Council in the Victorian Parliament. Since then, Renee has become a rising figure in the Liberal Party. She took on the tough role as Opposition Whip and is now serving as Shadow Assistant Minister for Multicultural Affairs and for victims of family violence. On a daily basis, you'll see Renee fighting for issues she's passionate about: small government, individual initiative, equal opportunity, family and freedom. Her priorities are big, from tackling the state debt and supporting small business to rebuilding health and education and ensuring Victorians never lose sight of their fundamental freedoms. It's a privilege to welcome to Something Big today, Dr. Renee Heath, member for Eastern Victoria Region.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Welcome, Renee. It's great to have you here. It's a pleasure to be able to sit with you and get to know you a little bit better, and hopefully share you with our audience as well.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very kind introduction, so thank you.
Look, it's well deserved, and I know locally you've started to build a great relationship here in Pakenham with the residents, and everywhere I go, I hear your name being whispered, saying how dedicated you are and how nice it is to have someone that actually listens to the community.
Thank you so much, and I feel very at home in Pakenham, and my seat's 44,000 square kilometres. It's huge. It's about 20% of the state in terms of
enormous.
In terms of size. But because my office is here in Pakenham, I really do feel part of the community, and more so than a lot of the other places. So I love it here. Yeah,
fantastic. Well, you're more than welcome. So thank you for joining us here today. I guess we've got some questions for you, and some of these come from us and some of them come from the community as well. So
Awesome. Let's have them.
before politics, Renee, you're a health professional and a chiropractor. You work with people in Gippsland, all ages. So tell us a little bit about your journey. What did you love about that work?
I absolutely loved chiropractic and I still love it. It was just, I think my mum took me to a chiropractor. The first one was Dr. Amanda Boyd. She made a huge impact on my life. And the first time I saw her and met her, I thought, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. I just think it's an amazing role that chiropractors play, you know, helping people that are suffering from all different types of issues. And I just decided that this is definitely what I want to become. And eventually, that was even a long journey, but eventually I did become one and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Well, I know as a 20-something into my 30s, I struggled a lot with back pain because of the work that I did. I was always leaning over a drafting table.
Yeah, well, life's so stressful
terrible
these days, and you know, posture with phones. I think chiropractors are becoming more and more indispensable.
Well, the chiropractor that I went to probably saved my life, so it's a great service.
Yeah.
You've also rolled your sleeves up when it comes to community projects as well, children's health, bushfire recovery. What did you learn from those experiences?
Yeah, so that was actually the part that probably the children's home that gave me an interest in politics. So my best friend and I started a children's home overseas. We raised a lot of money to buy some land and rescue 26 girls that were being trafficked as sex slaves. So it was just a real eye-opening experience. There was 2 men that were pretty much buying girls at a very cheap price and then prostituting them out essentially. So when we found out this was happening, we worked with a local guy named Tom Scott, and he helped us start a children's home there. And we rescued 26 girls from the most horrific situations that you can imagine. And so every one of those 26 girls now has gone through the program and is now either completely self-sufficient because of a business they've started or because we help them get through teaching accreditation.
Yeah.
So it was during that time that, and I'm also a huge reader, I love reading, that I would have thought I was more centre-left politics. I would have thought I was more left-wing. But when I started to read books about Menzies, who was the guy that started the Liberal Party, and all different Liberal politicians, I realised that, hey, what we were doing was actually extremely liberal.
Yeah.
It was the restoration of personal freedoms, things that we completely take for granted, I think. But it was also economic independence. And what I really learnt through that is unless you are economically independent, you cannot help anyone other than yourself. But also you have freedom. You have freedom to make your own choices and to do whatever you like. And it was during that time that I thought, I think I might get involved in a political party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, isn't it, how a little bit of knowledge can help you centre yourself.
It changed everything. It really did, because I would have thought, looking on as a young female at the time, not so young anymore, but at the time, I would have thought, you know, you hear all those other voices that tell you that, you know, other sorts of left-wing politics are compassionate, but they're not. I think the only way you can really show compassion is to make sure people are free to make their own decisions. And that comes down to the economy too at times.
What a horrendous situation for those girls to be in, and you've come in and changed their lives, Renee, completely.
Well, they changed mine, because I think what was staggering is one thing that we did is we had a social worker go in and help them write their stories. I could only read a few of them because they were that horrific. They were just so terrible, but they were the most resilient, positive people that I've ever met. And you would never know what they had been through.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a extremely generous, beautiful positive people. Amazing, really.
Yeah, extraordinary work.
Yeah.
I can certainly see why you're so passionate about what you do off that type of experience.
Yeah, I think so. I think these are the things that shape us, aren't they?
Shape and drive us, maybe?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've spoken about witnessing a decline in values as well in our Victorian institutions in particular. What was the moment that you thought that we needed to step up?
Yeah.
You needed to step up and run for Parliament.
I think there probably wasn't a moment. It was probably, actually run for Parliament. Interestingly, I still never saw that as my place. I was really happy and I loved volunteering for the party. But it wasn't until Ed O'Donoghue stepped down, and I had a lot of phone calls from different people that were saying, you should actually run, that I thought about it. But in terms of the decline in values, I think it's something that I've noticed. I've had the opportunity to travel a lot and to, not only do the work in the Philippines, but I also, helped run different projects in South Africa and all to do with rescuing kids from terrible situations. And also I spent a bit of time in China growing up. And I think it was that, seeing how terrible things were in other places, yet coming here and seeing how there wasn't that concept of that, and often young Australians taking what we have here for granted when really we're the best nation on earth. And I think it was sort of walking through that journey that I realised, wow, if we continue to take what we are as Australia and who we are as Australians for granted, there will continue to be this decline, because I think we haven't really been through the things that other people have. In fact, we've lived through an incredible arc of history that has been, prosperous. We've been free until recent decades. Australians were able to get in, buy a house quite young, start a business. Things like that are changing now. And I think that's because we have taken those principles for granted in a sense.
Do you think that's an unfortunate or fortunate, depending on which way you look at it, reality for the generations? I mean, I'm Gen X, I'm a little bit older than you, and I guess I'm lucky to say that Australia hasn't been to a war where we've had to defend our nation in my lifetime.
Yeah.
We've been to war. We've been to the longest war we've actually participated in, which was Afghanistan, but it's a long way from home. And I think a lot of people have this disconnect now, what our freedom actually means and what it costs the nation.
Yeah, I think it probably is that disconnect, and it could be the price you pay for having it so good. So I think, there is that complacency that's probably set in, but there's also, a lot has changed with social media, and you're bombarded constantly with these messages that sort of drive home some I guess messages that aren't necessarily helpful. Yeah. And I think it probably is the price we've paid for having it so good for such a long time.
Yeah. Values are important.
They matter. Yeah. They really, really matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
More so than policy.
I think so, and they become the bedrock of policy, because policy should be reflective, and it's not necessarily all the time. In fact, a lot of the time it's not, and there'd be plenty of examples of that. But it should be a reflection of people. If democracy done right works pretty well, But I think what should be happening is we should be a voice that reflects our community, and I do not think that is happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've been in Parliament for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
Coming up to November.
Yep.
What's the thing that struck you, shocked you, surprised you the most in Parliament itself?
I think it's the biggest shock was just it's a culture like no other. Honestly, I've never been in such a high pressure environment like that. But before coming into politics or before being a candidate, I didn't believe that it was harder for women. You often hear that women have to work twice as hard, and I just didn't believe that. I didn't buy it. Well, I can now say that I believe that to be true. I just cannot believe some of the, the things that have been thrown at me or the way I've been treated, that I don't know that they would treat a man that way. I don't know that a man would be kicked out of political party, for instance, for something that their dad supposedly said. So that's been just a huge learning curve for me, that it is tough for women in politics or in leadership positions, and that's something. So I apologise to the people that I said, no, that's not a thing before.
It should be tough politics, shouldn't it? But it shouldn't be tougher just because you're female.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is tough for everyone because it's, it should be, it's what you're signing up for in a sense. But yeah, there's some super toxic things about the environment, I think.
Takes a special person to stand up to that.
Oh, I think you've just got to find some strength when you face these things, like anything else. But yeah, it's just been fascinating and eye-opening in that sense.
You've had role as the opposition whip.
Yes.
Shadow assistant minister.
Yep.
For multicultural affairs and victims of family violence.
Yeah.
Both all important roles, but certainly for me, someone that's worked in community crime prevention for a long time.
Yeah.
Victims of family violence is a big deal to me.
Yeah.
What have you learned in those roles about the diversity of issues that people are facing today?
Oh, absolutely extraordinary. But I guess my journey in that started before I had that role, and I'm really grateful. That's why Brad Batten gave me that role, as a really pivotal moment in my career as a politician was when there was a candlelight vigil held for Celeste Mano.
Yeah.
So she was a beautiful young girl who was relentlessly stalked by somebody that she met once. They had no friendship or relationship. They worked at a call centre together, and he got fired, and she got the unlucky task of walking him down to the door, and she showed him a bit of sympathy. That was it. He became so obsessed with her that he started stalking her online, on Facebook, on social media. She kept blocking him. He'd create other accounts. And they did everything that they were told and everything according to the law. And they got a restraining order against him. He broke that restraining order and got a slap on the wrist and bailed. So then he went quiet, completely quiet for a few months, and then the worst imaginable thing happened. And the Celeste's mum's name is Aggie. She heard this huge crash through the window. This guy had broken in and stabbed her daughter to death while she slept on her bed. And as a result, there was an inquiry into stalking reform, and there were over 40 recommendations handed down. And at the time, Daniel Andrews was the Premier. He said, we're going to, did press conferences saying we're going to enact these laws, there will be change, and blah, 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 all these things. It was all lip service. Years and years on, nothing has changed.
Still not implemented.
They've part implemented or run trials on 2 of the recommendations, but they have not fully implemented any of them. This was a real, I guess, shock to me. It just absolutely, it is sickening, but I could not believe how somebody could face a camera and say the right things but be doing absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. So that was something that was a real turning point for me. The second thing that really struck me was through that work, another young girl named Bianca Unwin, she heard that I was sort of fighting for these things, for law reform in these areas, and her and her dad contacted me and said, do you know that there's this thing called emergency management days, and because prisoners were locked up during COVID, they each got up to 4 days off. Every 1 day they were inconvenienced.
Off their sentence.
And I thought, this can't be right. So she said, my sister's murderer has got 427 days off, not because he showed remorse. In fact, he didn't. not because he's been well behaved, but because he was inconvenienced during COVID. And I thought, no, this cannot be right. When I looked into it, I realised not only was he rewarded with these reductions and these discounts, but in Victoria there were over 1,000 years taken off people's prison sentences purely because they were locked up during COVID. And this is what really rubs salt in the wound, I think. When I looked into what it was that they were inconvenienced, they were only allowed outside for 1 hour a day. Like,
weren't they lucky? I mean,
weren't most Victorians?
We were all locked up, weren't we?
So, yeah, if you had have told me during COVID that the only people that would be compensated were violent criminals and criminals in general, people locked up, not the people that, the families that had lost loved ones, none of those, but the people that took the lives of loved ones were among the ones that would be compensated, I would have thought, you have got to be kidding. And regardless, that is true. Yeah. So we ran a petition that got thousands and thousands of signatures to petition the government to ask them to make it that violent and high-risk offenders would not get emergency management days awarded that took them below their non-parole period. Well, regardless of the debate, regardless of the thousands of signatures, they still haven't made a single change. So it's disgusting. And so, these are things I'm going to be focusing on when we win government. Yeah, we've got to make a change in these areas because there is so much more weight given to perpetrators of violence than there is victims of violence, and I think we've really got the balance wrong.
Victoria's in real trouble, isn't it, when it comes to crime?
Huge.
Our figures are soaring.
Yep.
It's in the news every day, and it's not small stuff. It's huge, horrible, violent crimes, home invasions, children being stolen, because they want the car that the kids happen to be in. And how do we start to address that if you're to win government?
Well, on that, and you said about the statistics are shocking, and new research has shown that Victoria is the most lawless state in the country. So there is a assault, a violent assault roughly every half an hour in this state. There is a car stolen roughly every 16 minutes, and there is offence committed every 50 seconds. So it is huge. So we will be serious on getting tough on bail. So we have had bail come through the upper house and change. So we've had to debate it. We've had to go through and change it 5 times in the last year. It's revolting. And what we will ensure is if people break bail, they will face jail. So the government keeps saying that we've got tough bail laws, but there is a carve-out for just about everyone. There's the latest ones that went through, was it last sitting week or whenever it was, just recently, were bringing in the tougher bail test for people who commit an indictable offence while on bail. Well, it's actually only one of 6 particular offences you have to break while on jail. It's not any offence, it's one of 6. And if you're a teenager, there's an exemption for you. If you're pregnant, there's an exemption for you. If you're from a particular background, there's an exemption for you. So what they're really doing is it's like something that looks beautiful and shiny on the outside, but when you dig down, it's full of holes. So what we will do is we will get more police on the beat. We will ensure that if you break bail or if you break the law, there are consequences.
Yeah.
So break bail, you will face jail. And we're going to bring back a tougher on crime approach, which works, by the way.
It does work because we've seen it, right across the world and right next door in New Zealand.
Yes.
That's had a tough on crime approach recently. Has really changed crime and reduced crime in New Zealand. And, the famous story I think that most people will know is New York City.
Yeah.
In the 1980s, it was a dangerous place to be. It didn't matter what part of New York you're in. It was not good. Tough on crime, put perpetrators behind bars.
Yep.
It fixed that problem.
Well, they have managed in New Zealand to reduce ram raids by 60% by a tough on crime approach. And the people behind that have actually recommended that exact model for Victoria, but they've ignored that so far. But the Liberal and National parties have taken that advice on board, and that's the approach we'd take.
There needs to be a deterrent, doesn't there? I mean, you're a teenage boy, horrendous age, 12, 13, 14. We see this every night, committing horrible crimes against people. These victims are going to remember this for the rest of their lives. It's going to change their lives. Even if they haven't been physically assaulted, the emotional assault is extraordinary. And there's no deterrent there for these young kids that should be in school learning how to plan the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
There's no deterrent for them. Why would they stop?
Yeah, there's no deterrent and there's very few off-ramps. And I think we've got to take a multi-pronged approach where we are tough on crime. There are consequences, but there are also activities, there are things. The kids are being taught from the start properly at school, which is a huge protective factor to keeping kids away from a life of crime. So it does need to be a multi-pronged approach.
Queensland's taken a different approach to what Victoria has with a new Liberal government in Queensland.
And they're seeing good results. And I think this is, there is a common denominator where Liberal governments are, where they are in power, which it's few and far between at the moment. We've got to address that. But there is less crime and less young people involved in crime. You
mentioned earlier the huge size of your electorate.
Yes.
How many actual lower house electorates does that cover?
So it's 11. 11 lower house seats.
Pakenham is one of them, obviously.
Yeah, Pakenham is one of them.
What sort of balance do you have to create? I mean, you've got such a vast area to cover, and you've also got the shadow minister roles as well.
Yeah.
How do you create that balance between servicing the community and servicing those shadow roles?
Yeah, well, it's tough, and it's a 7-day-a-week job, but I guess in the sense, I'm fortunate in the sense that it's a lot of those seats, or the majority, are held by Liberals and Nationals at the moment. So there's 4 seats that aren't.
Yeah.
So that's Monbulk, Pakenham, Bass and Hastings. So, when I'm not in Parliament, those are the seats that I spend my time in. And also there is a lot of work to be done, particularly for me, there's a lot of events and things that I go to which are really fun and rewarding in the multicultural space, but there's a lot of work to be done in the domestic violence space. So I'm lucky that I work in a great team, but it is a full-time job.
A lot of people, I think most people will say, politicians, they get it easy.
Yeah.
They get great pay, they get a pension,
some
they can't
do.
get fired, maybe every 4 years.
Yeah.
But it's an extraordinary amount of hours that you put in, I know.
Yeah, I think if you want to do your job properly, it is 7 days a week. It is full on.
Yeah.
There's a particular crossbench member that I'm thinking of at the moment that every time he comes in for a vote, everyone's like, oh, something special must be happening today. So there are some people that, aren't working very hard, and I think that's wrong, to be quite frank.
Yeah. You're representing everyone in your electorate, and you need to do the very best to cover that electorate. So 7 days a week makes sense.
Yeah. Although it's
hard.
Just about every event that I see that I'm at in Pakenham in this area, you're also there, and you're not a member of Parliament, so I'm not the only one that works hard. Yeah.
I love it.
What an amazing interview with Renee, and such an inspiring story behind it as well.
She's fantastic, isn't she?
She really is.
Yeah, look, I first met Renee a few years ago when I was a candidate running as well, and we campaigned together, and that's when we started to get to know each other. It was great fun. She's such a passionate person. Representing her community is what drives her, and I think she's doing a great job personally, but I think that's for all of our audience to judge. But really interesting to get to know her a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. She's fantastic.
So, guys, we also have something special for you. We went out to the Pakenham Police Station where there's a new big blue box to collect machetes. It's a big bin for machetes. we've had experience with machetes, unfortunately, in crime, haven't we?
Yeah, unfortunately.
We were just talking about this earlier as we came to air.
Yeah, you'd hope that others didn't, but I mean, you really just don't know. They are everywhere as well.
When I was 14, 15 years old, I was in unfortunately a really violent attack by a gang, and I'm old, so gangs have been around for a long time, but and a machete was produced, and terrified me then, and my friends in particular, and we ran. We jumped in a car, in a stranger's car, mind you, that had kindly stopped something that we shouldn't have done, but we got out of there.
It was probably different back then anyway.
Yeah, we got out of there as fast as possible, and I think machete crime's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I was 15, and I was working in a milk bar, and it got robbed. And yeah, the man was holding a machete, and had kindly requested that I open the till.
Wow.
So, and that was very young at the time, so that was probably less likely to have them around as much as they are around now. So
machete bins. What do you think at home? Will you be handing in a machete into one of those bins? Welcome to Pakenham Police Station, where there's a new installation here. Machete amnesty bin. That's $13 million worth of crime prevention right there. Come into Pakenham, bring your machetes, drop them in the hole in the bin, get filmed by the CCTV. What a great solution to our crime problem. And it's not like it's going to stand out because it's hidden around the corner, but $330,000 just for this one bin to collect machetes that have been taken off the streets. Now, Victoria Police could do with $13 million to spend on new resources, new police members, new police cars, new equipment to help stop crime. But instead, the Labor state government is spending $13 million of your money to put in these empty bins that are not full of machetes. When we had a gun amnesty, everyone that had a gun that wanted to bring it in and turn it in was able to do so. They didn't need to spend $13 million on an empty box. You're able to turn it over to police. Why can't we do that today? So that was the Pakenham Police Station and the new machete bin. I've been down there, I've seen it. I hope that lots of people hand in those now illegal weapons, and we'll see how many criminals actually hand in those illegal weapons.
it'd be very interesting to know the stats that come back from that.
Yes, it will, won't it? Yeah. So, guys, that is a wrap for our very first episode of Something Big here in Pakenham, and it's been fantastic fun, Stacey. I've loved doing it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And remember, guys, to watch this, we'll be dropping a new episode every Sunday. The next episode next Sunday with, once again, the continuation of our interview with Renee Heath. Like, share, subscribe, and send us your comments. Facebook,
Instagram, YouTube,
and Spotify.
that's the one. Again, see, we had to write it down.
Please like those streaming services, guys, and pass on your comments. We look forward to them, and we're doing this for you.
And if you have any topics of conversation that you would like us to talk about, feel free to send us through a DM, a message, in any of those platforms, and we'll happily look into them for you.
Thank you very much, and you've been watching Something Big.